Hey, good evening, friends. Today is Wednesday, March the 19th, 2025, and the time now is 7:10 p.m. So, friends, I want to talk briefly about ECOWAS and the situation in West Africa regarding food insecurity. But, friends, I want to apologize first for the way I sound. I've been sick for the past 3 days now. Now, friends, if this is your first time watching my video, or if you're new to the Echoing Voice, this is how the channel is set up. Every significant or prominent international organization or institution and every country will have at least two playlists on this channel. One is titled the country's name and the other domestic the country's name. For example, the country's name playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas that focus specifically on the country's relations with other countries in its region and also around the world. Basically, we are talking about the country's geopolitical position in the world. The domestic the country's name playlist will feature videos, talks, ideas, or programs that focus specifically on the domestic situation within the country. In this case, we are talking about employment, academics, infrastructure, and so on and so on and so on. Now, friends, regarding West Africa and ECOWAS recently basically sounded the alarm of the impending food crisis in West Africa. So it is being predicted that about 37 million people are directly in line to suffer from this food insecurity. Basically, 37 million people will be impacted directly and immediately. And it could be a total of 47 million people throughout West Africa will be impacted by food insecurity. Now, ECOWAS is sounding the alarm, and there has been initiatives. Now, rice is a very important staple in West Africa, okay, in the diet of West Africa. Africa is rich. Yes, the continent has about 60 or 65% of the world's arable land. Basically, that is the land that is good for farming. However, less than 7% of that land is being used. And Africa import about 85% of more of its food. Now, in this case, it is interesting that ECOWAS is trying to sound the alarm and basically put in place an initiative to combat food insecurity in West Africa. But then my question is, what ECOWAS is doing, is it all about talks and more talks, or are there very important, significant, and practical initiatives to target, okay, or combat food insecurity in West Africa, which is being blamed on destabilization in the region? Recently, we have the coup or revolution in the Sahel states and so on. Now, the Sahel states are doing much better now with Ibrahim Traore and the others, basically implementing food security initiatives in their countries, basically funding, okay, or supporting local farmers to produce food for the countries. However, friends, in terms of ECOWAS, my question is, what is ECOWAS doing to support local farmers and young agripreneurs in Africa? Unlike the United States, the West, and the other rich and powerful countries in the world, Africa, though the continent has 60 to 65% of the world's land good for farming, less than 7%, as I've said earlier, is used. What are African leaders and ECOWAS doing to support local farmers and young agripreneurs who are interested in farming, in agriculture, to farm and to produce food that the continent needs, or in this case, that West Africa needs? In terms of food production in Africa, Africa do have agribusiness corporation, but they are not financially, okay, or technically competent in comparison to the ones in the West and the rich and powerful countries. And their production capacity is not as strong as their peers in the West, the United States, and the rich and powerful countries around the world. So my point here is I do believe ECOWAS and the various African countries need to initiate a socialist kind of policy. In this case, they should have a national system of food production in their various countries where, yes, the government are going to fund local farmers and agripreneurs throughout their countries. And in this case, friends, fund initiatives that will bring together various producers, farmers, and so on to form corporation that could grow, okay, eventually to become the corporation that could be the masters of Africa food production and distribution throughout the continent in the future. In addition, there must be an initiative where, in this case, the various African governments and local governments to basically allocate funds to fund commune, okay, kind of farms or plantation, build, okay, or construct many storage, okay, refrigeration and distribution system, okay, the infrastructure in this case. This is because, friends, Africa is lagging behind, or West Africa is lagging behind in terms of food security, food production, and distribution infrastructure. So I do believe that the various African governments, or West African governments, or ECOWAS in this case, need to initiate a socialist kind of policy where the government will take, okay, the initiative, take control of mass production of food and so on, while at the same time funding local farmers and agripreneurs throughout the West African or the African region. I think ECOWAS, yes, blowing the alarm about the future food insecurity in West Africa is a start, okay, is the first phase. However, the institution, okay, or institutions such as ECOWAS need to think pragmatically, they need to think practically, okay, basically what benefits Africa and not just talk, and more talk. Now, friends, please tell me what you think, and I really want to know what you think. But, friends, I'm going to end here. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends. But most especially and most important, or most importantly, I want to thank you a lot for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace, my friends. Peace.